There are moments in this strange, delicate dance of life when someone we love becomes the source of our deepest ache. And yet, even this pain is not without purpose. It moves through us not to shatter, but to sculpt, to shape the hollow spaces where wisdom might echo. When a woman wounds you with silence, indifference, or departure, do not rush to condemn nor yourself. Instead, listen, for in the stillness the universe speaks. Every heartbreak is but a note in the music of becoming, every tear a mirror reflecting the stars above. The ones who hurt us are often the ones who were sent not to stay, but to awaken something ancient within us, a remembering of who we truly are beneath the noise. You are not a mistake wandering blindly. You are a necessary thread in the tapestry of the divine. And even your sorrow, my friend, is sacred. What breaks you is what brings you home. You see, we have this tendency, when someone we care for wounds us, to recoil, to resist, to fight the pain as if it were some foreign invader that must be expelled. But pain, real pain, doesn't knock politely on the door and ask to be let in. It breaks through, loud, unannounced, hoping to someday. Sometimes in the form of someone's absence, someone's silence, or someone's decision to walk away. And we think the breaking is the end of the story. But it never is, because in truth, pain is not your enemy. It is your summons. It is the quiet echo of the universe tapping gently on your soul, asking you to return to where you have always belonged, right here in the naked, unguarded presence of yourself. When a woman hurts you, the instinct is to react. You might want to make sense of it, to find the reasons, to assign blame to her, to yourself, to fate. You might spiral through old memories, analyzing every word she said, every glance that felt warm and every moment that now feels like a lie. But in all of that frantic searching, you miss the simple truth: this pain you feel is not meant to be solved. It is meant to be felt, sat with, breathed into. Someday, because what it's doing, underneath the sting, beneath the confusion, is peeling away the layers that no longer serve you. Most of us are afraid to be alone with ourselves. We seek relationships like shelter from the storm of our own being. We want someone to save us from our loneliness, to affirm us, to complete us. But when that person turns away, or leaves, or causes us harm, hoping to someday, what we're truly grieving isn't just the loss of them. It's the collapse of the identity we built around them. We're mourning the version of ourselves we only knew in their presence. But here's where it gets curious, hoping to someday. Because if you don't run from that lost, if you stay still long enough, something ancient begins to emerge. The noise of the world softens, the H becomes a kind of music, and in the ruins of what you thought you needed, you begin to feel your own breath again. Not as a placeholder between conversations or kisses, but as life itself. You begin to see that the hurt wasn't random, it was precise, it was divine. Like a chisel shaping stone, hoping to someday, her actions, whether conscious or not, have revealed something in you that you had forgotten was there: your own presence, your own silence, your own light. Now, this isn't to say that the pain disappears. No, it may linger. It may return in waves. But something changes when you stop resisting it. It softens. It starts to guide instead of haunt. You begin to realize that pain, especially the kind dealt by someone you loved, is not a wall. It's a door. And what lies on the other side is not bitterness or closure, but a deeper communion with yourself. So if she hurt you, hoping to someday, don't rush to close the chapter. Don't paint her as the villain or yourself as the victim. Sit with what you feel. Watch how your heart moves. Watch how your thoughts stretch and coil. Allow it all, because this exquisite unraveling is not your destruction, it's your becoming. And when the storm passes, as all storms do, you'll find yourself not smaller for the experience, but wider, deeper, truer. You'll realize you were never really broken, only open. For it is not the wound that weakens you. It is the awakening it leaves behind that makes you whole. There's a particular of pain that doesn't scream or slam the door. It lingers quietly in the spaces between words, in the unanswered messages, the long pauses, the conversations that never happen. Silence. A strange kind of hurt, isn't it? It's not a shout, not an insult, not even a goodbye. It's the absence of presence, the sudden vanishing of warmth that once felt certain. And somehow, that absence can echo louder than any argument. When a woman goes quiet, when she stops reaching out, stops responding, stops showing up the way she once did, your mind wants to fill that silence with stories. And oh, the stories we tell ourselves. Someday, that you weren't enough, that she found someone else, that everything she said was a lie, hoping to someday. Your imagination becomes a theater of ghosts, playing out every possibility except the one that truly matters. Perhaps the silence is not about you. Perhaps it is not an indictment of your worth, but simply a part of her own unfolding. But we resist that idea. We want closure. We want explanation. We want control. We don't know how to sit with the unknown. And so, in the quiet, we begin to unravel. Not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't. We mistake the absence of words for the presence of judgment. We assume that if she's not speaking, she must be condemning, hoping to someday that if she's not here, we must be unworthy of being held. But I invite you to look at it differently, hoping to someday. What if her silence isn't rejection, but reflection? What if it's not a wall, but a mirror? It is in the stillness that we hear ourselves. It is in the quiet that life often speaks most clearly. And sometimes, another's silence is simply life saying, wait. Wait and listen. Not to her, but to you, hoping to someday. Because here's the truth no one tells you. People leave, people grow distant, hoping to someday. Not always because of something you did or didn't do. Sometimes they leave because they're lost in themselves. Sometimes they're trying to hear their own voice again. And in their silence, you are being asked to do the same. To stop measuring your value by someone else's ability to stay. To stop searching for yourself in someone else's reflection. It's in this silence that you're handed a rare opportunity, an invitation not to chase, not to fix, not to beg, but to turn inward. To sit alone not as a punishment, but as a kind of pilgrimage. You begin to notice the way your breath feels when you're not trying to prove yourself. You begin to hear your own thoughts without distortion, hoping to someday. The space she leaves behind becomes the ground where something deeper takes root. Your own voice, your own rhythm, your own quiet strength, and you realize that love was never meant to be possession. It was meant to be presence. Freely given, never guaranteed. When it disappears, it doesn't mean the music has ended. It simply means the melody has changed. And now it is your turn to play the next note alone. Not in bitterness, not in rage, but in grace. So do not resent her silence. Do not turn it into noise. Let it be what it is, a pause in the symphony, a breath in the dance. Because what you do with the silence reveals more about your soul than her absence ever could. And when the noise of longing fades, to someday, when the ache settles like dust on still water, you'll hear it. The soft whisper of life, reminding you that you were never abandoned, only redirected. Her silence was not the end of the story. It was the space where you began to write your own. It's a curious thing, isn't it? The way certain people come into our lives and stir something deep within us. Something beautiful, yes, but also something uncomfortable, something raw. A woman can enter your world like a sunrise, soft, radiant, hoping to some days. And before you know it, you're not sure where she ends and you begin. And when she hurts you, hoping to someday, when she pulls away or lashes out, when she stops being who you thought she was, it's natural to feel betrayed. To feel like something sacred has been shattered. But what if she wasn't meant to complete you? What if she was sent? Not as your salvation, but as your mirror. You see, the people who touch us most deeply are rarely random. There's a mysterious intelligence behind these encounters. Not one that always feels gentle or kind, but one that is always precise. To someday. A woman who hurts you may not be breaking you. She may be reflecting back to you everything you have not yet healed, hoping to someday not to punish you, but to show you what you've forgotten, neglected, buried. Perhaps her criticism strikes a chord because it echoes your own self-doubt. Perhaps her distance reminds you of your fear of being left behind. Perhaps her unpredictability reveals your craving for control, for certainty. And perhaps, in that mirror, you're not really seeing her at all. You're seeing yourself, your wounds, your unmet needs, your childhood echoes. This is not an easy thing to accept. We want to believe we were wronged, and perhaps we were. But beyond the surface story of who did what and why, there's a deeper unfolding. Life doesn't bring us reflections to flatter us. It brings us reflections to awaken us. If you look honestly, hoping some you might see that the pain you feel now isn't new. It's familiar, hoping to someday. It's just been brought to the surface by someone you allowed close enough to touch your soul. And that's the gift hidden in the wound clarity. A revelation not about her, but about you. About what you're still carrying, hoping to something to. Still clinging, afraid to feel. She may not have stayed long. She may have been messy, imperfect, even cruel. But still, she played her role, hoping to someday. And perhaps that role was to hold up the mirror long enough for you to see the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. Someday, that's not romance. That's transformation. That's soul work. So what do you do with this reflection? You don't attack it. You don't chase it. You don't run from it. You meet it. You sit with the discomfort. You ask, what am I learning about myself in her absence? What unspoken truth is rising now that her presence is gone? These questions are not meant to explain her. Someday they are meant to deepen you. And in that depth you start to see with new eyes. You no longer need her to validate your worth. You no longer need the story to end a certain way to feel whole. To someday. Because the lesson she brought wasn't about whether she stayed or left. Loved you or hurt you. It was about whether you could stay with yourself through it all. Whether you could look into the mirror, even when it showed you something unflattering, and say, yes, this too is me, and I will not turn away. To someday. This is the beauty of heartbreak. It's not just the breaking of a bond. It's the cracking open of your awareness. And every woman who shakes your foundations is simply life reminding you of where those foundations were never solid to begin with. Not to destroy you, but to help you rebuild. For the mirror may break, the woman may vanish, hoping to someday, but what you learn in that reflection remains, etched forever into the architecture of your becoming. There comes a point, after the ache has settled and the questions have quieted, where you're faced with a choice, not about her, not about what she did or didn't do, but about you, about how you will carry what was left behind. You see, it's easy to harden, easy to become cynical, to armor up, to say, I'll never let someone get that close again. It feels protective, even powerful. But in truth, it only builds a prison, hoping to someday. Because in trying to keep the pain out, you lock yourself in. Letting go isn't about pretending it didn't matter, hoping to someday. It's not about brushing off the love you gave or pretending her absence doesn't still echo in the quiet hours of the night. No, it's about learning how to hold it all, the beauty and the bruise, with open hands. You don't need to deny the tenderness just because it turned into H. You don't need to erase the memories just because the ending came too soon. Love that ends is still love. What you felt was real. But now you're being asked to release it. That doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care from a distance, hoping someday. It means you stop clinging to the version of the story you hoped for and begin to honor the version that actually unfolded. She may never apologize. She may never understand what her actions cost you someday. But forgiveness was never about her understanding. It's about your liberation, hoping to someday. So many of us carry the wound long after the person is gone, dragging it like a shadow behind us, using it to measure every new connection. But healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means finally recognizing that the pain served its purpose, and it's time to walk without it. You see, hoping to someday, what hurt you is not meant to be held forever. It came to pass through you, to break you open in just the right places, to remind you that your heart, even after it's been torn, still beats. You don't have to curse her to be free. You don't have to make her small to feel tall. Sometimes, the most powerful act of self-respect is to bow silently to the path someone took away from you, and to continue walking yours with grace. Love her still, if you must. Not in hope, not in longing, but in reverence, in gratitude. Not because she was perfect, but because she was part of the unfolding, part of your becoming. That is the rhythm of life. People arrive, they awaken something to someday, and sometimes they leave before it fully blooms. But that doesn't mean the garden dies. It means the season changed. And your task now is not to mourn the lost petals forever, but to tend to what was planted deep inside you. And maybe one day, when the wind is soft and the sky feels wide again, you'll think of her, not with bitterness, not with regret, but with a kind of quiet peace, a knowing that she came when she needed to and left when she had to, and in between something eternal moved through you both. So let her go, but love still. Let the past dissolve, but let your heart remain open. Because the moment you can hold sorrow and love in the same breath, you've stopped surviving and started living again. For in the gentle art of letting go, you do not lose, you become.